to the League of Extraordinary Atheists for Humanism, where we attempt to apply logic and reason to religion and politics. I'm here with my wonderful, beautiful co-host, Christy Santiago.
Hello, guys. Happy Friday. I'm glad you guys are here. A lot of things have happened, and we have a great show planned out for you guys. And I wanted to say to our listener, part of our community, Julie, hi, and I see you, and thanks for coming. And I understand that this loss is hard, and hopefully we'll see you back tonight. If not, we'll see you next week. You're always welcome.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thank you for anyone new who's joining us tonight. If you guys like the show. Christy, your hair's looking freaking awesome tonight. How many weeks is this?
Oh, goodness. I totally didn't even, Stacy just said 72, but I don't think it's that. Let's see. 66 weeks today.
66 weeks.
No. After it gets to 100 weeks, I'll start doing it by year because it'll just be redundant at the point. Like, how many pregnancies can I fit in this? Yeah, I'd already be on baby 2 by now. I like it, Mac. Just leave it. It's beautiful. Just like you, your cute little face.
How's this?
I love it. It looks like you've been playing with balloons with your kids.
I was
rubbing them on your head.
Way to go. On the roof? No, I wasn't. All right. So, what's first here? What do we got?
Well, we would like to remember Psy Strike, and not just his channel, but the amazing man that was Psy, and that our producer and Lord and Savior, Nacho Witness, would not be in the position he is in today without having him kind of as a mentor and learning so much that he learned. I'm sure I'll never even understand all that he learned from Psy, because obviously we need someone to do that for us. Kind of tech illiterate. I should probably work on that. But I think that it was for me, it was part of getting to where I am right here, was showing up at Psy's Friday night. The community was fun. And even if I'm not a big drinker, but everybody would, shots and drinks whenever someone on the video we were watching needed to be corrected or debunked. It was just a lot of fun. And so I can say the fun part really helped me, especially on a Friday night after doing research and seeing, no matter what I was researching for the show, there was always someone dead involved. And it was just nice to just laugh and tear apart a completely misleading or demonstrably debunked video. It was just a lot of fun. And like I said, he kind of laid down the groundwork for Nacha's, knowledge on how to see us falling apart when we went live for the first time and go, guys, let me help you. So thank you, Sai, and thank you, Nacha. Yeah.
Just about a full year. That's crazy.
I know, it doesn't seem like it's been a year, but it has. Yeah.
And so, what do we got here? I have, Nacha, can you make me host real quick so I can screen share? Sorry, I forgot to ask you beforehand. We was talking about a lot.
Well,
So if you guys didn't notice, and I don't know what part of the country everyone lives in here, but so we have the fires over on the West Coast, Oregon, California, and if you guys didn't hear, that smoke freaking traveled. It traveled all the way to where I live in Ohio.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. I thought the sky looked a little funny on the way to work, and then someone who is a frequent shopper told me that the smoke was over here. I'm like, what? And thought about it for a second. I'm like, oh, because that wasn't cloud cover. That was I could literally smell
The fire.
the smoke
Right.
from trees. And it's insane that smoke traveled 1,000 miles
Right.
to get to my home state. And I took some pictures for you guys actually. So I'm gonna pop this up, and I wanna just have it ready.
Grant in our chat, he lives in Idaho, and not to like dox his location or anything, just in the whole state. He lives in the whole state of Idaho. And yeah, he can't see the mountains. When you walk out of his house, he's shown me, just there they are, there's the mountains, and you can't see anything. So it's to think of that making it all the way to you.
Yeah, it did, and
The globe spinning has effects.
It does, and I hope this really gets people's attention who don't believe in global warming, because Earth's kind of a small place. The forest fire smoke can make it to me. Look at this. You got the red sun. This is not like I see sunset over this building nearly every day. And it doesn't look like this, right? It doesn't look
pretty smoky
like that. Yeah, it's smoky. It's not a blue sky. It's not cloud cover. And that's a red sun because of the discoloration. It was insane.
Yeah.
And it was like that the night before and that night. You could tell when you looked up at the sky, especially towards the night, that there were clouds, and then there was this fog, and it was just smoke.
It does. It looks like fog.
It does. It's just a high fog, and it's so strange. But if you if you paid attention for just a second, you realize the air doesn't smell right. It does smell smoky. That's a wood fire. And it was just
smell of scorched earth.
Yeah. And it was trippy. It was, even for me, like, it was definitely trippy. I'm like, whoa, wow, I'm getting a whiff of some burning wood over 1,000 miles away. That's neat and also terrifying, but still super neat. Like, it was like quite the phenomenon, I thought. So I really wanted to share that, and I got the pictures on here. Rachel helped me get them on just before the show started. So I was really happy that I could share those with you guys before we got into things tonight.
From Brant, we say it's like the video game Silent Hill right now. If anyone wants to film a fan fiction, now would be the time.
Yeah.
Goofball.
Yeah, and I mean, I just give you
we do have many people in our community, all across from us to Shannon to the ACA. Everyone has many people that live in this area. So there have been, I know, friends of mine who I talk to, personally in our community and our skeptic community, who have had to pack up everything and head out. Just you have to go and then come back home and then head out again. And yeah, that's really scary. It's really scary.
Yeah. So there was one thing. The other thing I want to mention real quick, because we did cover it a couple weeks ago, maybe a whole month ago now, that TikTok was looking at being banned, and well, it has been decided that what's it called? WeChat will cease here in America this weekend, and then November 12th, I believe, is when TikTok will be banned here in America, unless an American company picks that up. So yeah, that's Trump ruined TikTok.
Freedom.
Right.
Can you feel the freedom in the air?
I don't. It smells
so free
like
right
smoke.
now.
Smells like smoke.
Yeah. Why does freedom smell like smoke, Mac? What's
Because
going
we're
on?
all on fucking fire and it's 2020.
Oh, fuck 2020. That will move us right on into
Look, I found the cure for COVID. We all just have to get in the fire.
we have to step completely into the fire.
just get in there. It's warm, safe.
No.
It's warm.
It is past warm. I would say. Actually, that is bad advice, but it is quite still.
It's getting hot in here. So
Yeah.
you never get
I
modified.
think taking off your clothes will matter at that point because they will be burnt off. Your burnt offering of yourself.
Right?
Yeah. Oh goodness. That was I think we needed some giggles before the rest of tonight's show.
Last pun, all the cool kids are doing it, and all the hot kids have already done it.
I see what you did there. Oh gosh, your dad jokes are getting more daddy by the day.
Yes! Thank you. I'll be here all night.
Oh goodness. You're so silly today.
Thank you.
That's why we were late, by the way, because Mac's silly.
Usually. All right, next
Yes.
bit.
Next.
Do you want to give them the news?
Give them the news. Which are we doing? Do you want me to do the RBG?
Yeah.
Yes. Well, as we're preparing for the show, which we didn't cover anything about her in the show, we are getting the news that she had just passed away, and that opens up so much. I mean, talk about a can of worms. I don't have faith, and I do not even dare to hope that the Democrats will be strong enough to stop them putting in another conservative Supreme Court justice. If we do have a 6-3 or 6-4 conservative, that's going to last the rest of my life for decades and decades. It's going to not just the pro-life, not just set that aside, with the corporations, with our laws supporting corporations being people. Like a corporation is a person, and free speech equals money equals free speech. Like that's the law of the land. And so if you have paid attention and you are informed, you do understand that the last few additions, besides the already positioned Supreme Court justices, have been very pro-corporate over the people of this nation. So it will be something that I pay attention to. I mean, I will definitely have my toes and fingers all up in the story from all different sides and views. I will ask lots of questions because I think that if there was ever a time to participate in your democracy, it would be right now. And I'm sure there have been people saying that every election year forever. However, there's only been a couple times this country has truly faced like neo-fascism, or we've been living neoliberalism. That's not fun. It's atrocious. Fascism is a whole different story. So I don't want to say she was our last line of defense because I don't believe that. So I wouldn't want to say something I don't believe. There were many things I disagreed with her. I just don't think tonight's the night, to really talk about those. She did a lot for women in this country. A lot. I'm a woman. I have all the woman parts, and I do identify as a woman. And I'm very girly, if you guys hadn't noticed. I have 2 daughters, and I think that I'm glad that she helped write some of the laws that we, follow in this country. And I'm sad. She fought really hard. She's had multiple cancers and has beat them all until this one. So she's a warrior. She was a warrior for women. And it's sad. It's sad to see, an American icon gone. And if anybody wants, you can comment in the chat, or you can comment in the comments after the show, if you're listening later, that you would like for me to do a deep dive on her. I would love to do that. I'll do whatever you guys. If you guys tell me to look into anything, I will look into it. I'll give it my full due diligence. And I would love to do that for her if that's what people want to hear. You know, I'm sure they can look it up themselves too if there's more things or other things that they want to know more than her history. But I would, if everybody's interested, if anybody's interested, do a deep dive on RBG and also show you all of the policies she was involved with, what she voted against, her dissenting comments. I can do all of that. So use me.
Yeah.
Stop
Thank you
being naughty.
for summing that up. No, hey, I'm not. Not right now.
Inappropriate.
Yeah, so I wanted to piggyback on that just a little bit because this is something that we feared, right? Going into a Trump presidency, everyone was worried about Ruth Bader Ginsburg
Yes.
biting the dust at some point, and then Donald Trump sweeping in and picking a new justice with a lifetime appointment, and that is a scary thing. And now it has happened, and it does make the race, I think, more difficult, especially for the undecideds.
Yes. And we have the Supreme Court then decide. I mean, the last time she was involved with deciding, we got Bush.
Yeah. Yeah.
So she's made decisions they don't agree with. However,
Yeah,
she's an American icon. She's literally been serving for her entire life, the community and what she calls home, and then the broader community of the whole country. So
for 27 years. So I'll go ahead and screen share again. Look at me screen share.
You're such a big boy.
So I found this from Mitch McConnell because I was ready. The last part down here is the important part. In the last midterm election before Justice Scalia's death in 2016, Americans elected a Republican Senate majority because we pledged to check and balance the last days of a lame duck president's second term. We kept our promise. Since the 1880s, no Senate has confirmed an opposite party president's Supreme Court nominee in a presidential election year. By contrast, Americans reelected our majority in 2016 and expanded it in 2018 because we pledged to work with President Trump and support his agenda, particularly his outstanding appointments to the federal judiciary. And once again, we will keep our promise. President Trump's nominee will receive a vote on the floor of the United States Senate because they're not going to wait, as he said that they would be waiting. Well, actually, he didn't say that. He was questioned on what he said in 2016 and in March, where he said that the American people decide or need to have their voices heard, and we need to wait until after the election to make that choice. He was questioned on that after Trump became president, like, hey, what happens if Ruth Bader Ginsburg dies? And it's like during the primaries and during the election season, he's like, oh, well, we'll fill that seat. like shitty grin, like knowing what he's doing. He's like, oh no, we're gonna fill it. And real shitty. So we're there, and I mean, we still have enough people to stop or to slow down new justice being put in yet. But I mean, the Democrats really haven't had a backbone. this past 4 years. So yeah, it's I don't have a lot of high hopes, but yeah. Anywho, that's great. That's all good news. So yeah, I'm good to move on. Do you have anything to add? Christy?
No, not tonight. I think that because her death was something that we found out as we were literally getting ready to go, an hour before we went live, it wasn't too much to do her justice. Like I said, if you would like for me to do this Supreme Court justice in a deep dive, I will. And there we can really talk about her life. She is a huge part and will always be a part of American history, especially in the 20th, 21st century. Would you like me to dive into the tear gas? Yes. Okay, guys. So I had this lingering question for a long time. What the fuck? Why are you shooting canisters at protesters with tear gas? Why are you hitting them with these canisters? People are losing their eye, they're losing their arm. I can't wrap my mind around it. And this started with the DAPL protests and has just continued to get worse. So then I started looking on Amnesty International's, international law and international laws that this country helped write, but doesn't feel that they need to follow them themselves. Everybody else has to. And if they don't, then we can go in and do a regime change. But we don't have to actually follow them because we're the good guys. And tear gas actually is not even allowed internationally. Like, we as a military here cannot use it on another country. It is a chemical weapon, is what I found out. And I felt was right. So it was nice to have that confirmed. And I want to show you what I found out. We are led to believe tear gas is a safer method. Well, safer than bullets anyway. And when a state or the federal government needs to disperse participants in violent protests, they always use their go-to, tear gas. Today, it is part of many security forces' arsenal of less than lethal equipment, weapons that are alternatives to firearms. Those weapons are called less lethal rather than non-lethal, as although they are not designed to kill, there is still the possibility of lethal effect, as we see all the time. If you pay attention to protests, I do. I care about people's movements and having my ear on the ground, being that, even though I don't know each of them individually, I find that solidarity I feel, knowing that if I can't be there, I would be doing the same thing in many places. And, standing up for what's right, even if it means that you yourself might lose an eye, is very brave. And I'd have to say very American. It's very humanist to do that. So the availability of tear gas can mean police avoid having to resort to the use of more harmful weapons. But internationally, Amnesty International says, but in practice, police forces use tear gas in ways that it was never intended to be used, often in large quantities against largely peaceful protesters, or by firing these projectile canisters directly at people. Tear gas's widespread abuse raises questions about the lack of regulations of appropriate use or standardized formulations of toxicity, the questionable decision making of those in control of police operations, and the lack of training of many police officers deploying tear gas. Despite serious human rights concerns and guidance issued recently by the United Nations, the design, manufacture of, and trade in tear gas remains poorly regulated. If you are like me, you've probably asked yourself, what is even in these fuckers? Like, what's in them? Okay, so these are what I can tell you is in them. Lacrimator, which is LACHRYMATOR. Potassium nitrate, potassium chlorate, silicon, magnesium carbonate, sucrose, which is a sugar, which I thought, okay, nitrocellulose, charcoal, and they don't have to disclose the and. I think that's insane. There's almost zero transparency in the tear gas production industry. So little is known about the exact chemical combination that is present inside each brand of tear gas canister. The concentration of the lacrimator varies significantly between products and companies. These companies are not, I repeat, not required to disclose their ingredients. The effects of the lacrimator agents are temporary at low concentrations, but higher concentrations can cause severe injury. Studies of the effects of tear gas have, in large part, been limited by the absence of info on what is actually inside each canister. Exposure to tear gas causes a burning sensation and induces streaming eyes, which just means your eyes will not stop watering down your face, coughing, tightening of the chest, and difficulty breathing, and skin irritations. In most cases, effects wear off in 10 to 20 minutes. Can you imagine feeling like that for 10 to 20 minutes? It would feel like eternity. However, tear gas affects people differently, with children, pregnant women, and the elderly particularly susceptible to its effects. Toxicity levels can vary according to the product specifications, the quantity used, and the environment it is used in. Prolonged contact can pose severe health risks. And due to limited published research on the effects of these gases, we are yet to discover the full scope of its impact. And further, systematic studies are urgently needed. I would say if you have more questions on this and you want to look, I didn't want to, bore you with a whole bunch of statistics, but you can go to U.S. Center for Disease Control and Prevention, or also Physicians for Human Rights, to read over some health concerns. Amnesty International interviewed experts in healthcare, policing trade, business, and human rights to understand the many ways tear gas is misused around the world. Taken together, these interviews show the gulf between portrayals of tear gas as a simple, less lethal weapon used for crowd control and dispersal, and the harm its misuse can cause in reality. Okay, let's talk laws. According to the Amnesty International's use of force guidelines, tear gas may only be used in situations of more generalized violence for the purpose of dispersing a crowd, and only when all other means have failed to contain the violence. Tear gas may only, and it underlines only be used when people have the opportunity to disperse, and not when people are in a confined space or where roads or other routes of escape are blocked. People must be warned that these means will be used, and they must be allowed to disperse. Cartridges with chemical irritants may never is underlined, be fired directly at any person. If used, repeated or prolonged exposure should be avoided, and decontamination procedures should be followed immediately. Found the laws to be very refreshing because I agree with all of them. I don't like that the country I call home does all of the things you're not supposed to do, and also does the things that you're allowed to do wrong. It should be not the first line of defense. People should have a way of getting out. People that are pregnant go protest, and elderly people protest as well, and they need to be able to, okay, you're saying if we don't disperse, we're going to get this tear gas sprayed on us, or canisters that plume out the smoke. That way they can make a decision as an informed adult on whether they want to take that chance or not. And I don't see that being given. That doesn't mean it's not given anywhere. I just, those aren't the stories that are covered. And maybe they should be covered where things were done right and used as a video tool for learning for other departments. It's really sad to know that, especially during DAPL, people were losing their vision in one eye or their forearm or their shoulder because these canisters were being shot directly at them. And on Amnesty International, under tear gas, you can find videos where they have actually watched them and used them for learning. So, in China, in Hong Kong, in America, in South America. They do it all over the world so that you could see the view from above and where police officers are using these canisters and how they're getting a direct line shot of a protester. And luckily, in the first two videos I watched, it was in Venezuela, and they had homemade shields. And you could see that they hit the shield and just break the shield. And I'm sure that hurt too. But there's no one around in this one video. So the cop is definitely aiming right at him and shoots him when he holds it up right here. So he was trying to hit him. And it just makes me sad. We can do so much better. We can do so much better. And I am a free speech absolutist. I don't know how else to say it. I think if we do not support the right of someone we disagree with vehemently to go about speaking their mind, or even standing on a soapbox and saying things that are so ugly that we will never disagree with them, I believe that they still have a right to do it. No government should stop them from protesting. No government should stop them from speaking their mind. However, free speech does not mean that the counter protesters can't negate what you're saying in real time. So check yourself before you rickety wreck yourself. I like that look, Mac. Gotcha. I'm like, Mac's kind of cute. Mac's kind of cute right now. He looks like his son.
Kind of the corner.
You're totally doing an ollie right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, and something you said in there about the just it being classified as a less lethal weapon.
Yeah, less lethal.
Yeah.
I thought you'd get a kick out of that.
Yes and no. I kind of know why they call them that.
Yeah.
And that's because it would be classified under one of those weapons that it used to be called non-lethal weapons.
Yes, they had to change that. I read about that too. I was wondering whether I should add it to it, or I was like, no, it'll be too much.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll just talk briefly on it. And this is kind of from like a martial arts standpoint, because one of my instructors was a cop, and he explained it to me that like pepper spray, a taser, things like that, that are non-lethals, or what they used to be referred to as non-lethals. Well, sometimes people freak out and they'll have a heart attack.
Yes.
When you tase them or pepper spray them.
It's hard to breathe. I said it's hard to breathe.
Yeah.
I can't. I've never experienced it, so I can't say, personally. I can only read what it is supposed to do and what people who have been shot with it.
Yeah.
Confirm it does.
Yeah. So it's considered less lethal because there are no non-lethal weapons. So take that any way you want, but that's why they renamed it, because it killed some people, so they're less lethal.
And I guess I was just heated and I said so ugly we would never disagree with them. Thanks for checking me, Nacha. What I meant is, so ugly we could never agree with them. But I'm sure you guys understood what I'm saying. But thanks, Nacha. I definitely don't want to be made a meme of me saying so ugly that we could not disagree with them.
All right. So, so we're already on Assange here on the doodly-doo here. I did want to give everyone just a brief update of what's going on with the Assange case. I only have a brief update. So, Daniel Ellsberg gave a testimony during his hearing. This week, he's the one who released what came to be known as the Pentagon Papers in 1971. And so it was really cool that he came out to speak for his trial. And on that day that he came out, so the 16th, 2 days ago, excuse me, it says that after his testimony at about 2:15 p.m. Our time, it's the issue of Assange's alleged release of informants' names again was front and center as the government tries to build its case on it. And they pointed out that, however, reading from the article again, this is from the same place I gave you guys a link to last week. So I'm trying to use the same sources. There you go. accessoflogic.com. It points out there were three important matters that emerged on the issue in the testimony so far. And I thought these were really, really interesting, that they are being noted. And that is, it's not against the law to reveal the names of informants. And 2, Assange did not reveal informants' names first. And 3, not a single informant is known to have been harmed by the revelation of their names. Nor, not that it says this, nor have they been convicted for any war crimes that they committed. So they're fine. They're fine. Yeah, the article has a lot. I don't want to read through the whole thing. But I really did think it was worth noting that Daniel Ellsberg did go out and testify. Excuse me, and that it was noted that it's not illegal for to reveal the names of those informants. I thought that was an important thing to point out.
It's very important, Matt. Yeah. It's very important. Yeah. He hasn't done anything more than the New York Times have done, as far as just publishing stuff. Not the individual journalist. New York Times. Under the umbrella of New York Times. It's.
I think at this point, it would be outrageous for the U.S. government, be it Trump or Congress or whatever, to ban WikiLeaks like TikTok in this country for the crimes they committed against the U.S. government. But they're going further than that. They're trying to get WikiLeaks founder over here to prosecute him. And
yeah, he's not American, guys. He's not an American citizen. We have nothing on him. We cannot just go scoop people out of other countries that have spoke truth to power about wrongdoings that this government has done.
Right.
We wouldn't know about them. It's a like a good for the commons to have a free site where you can go and read about war crimes that any government, it's not just USA, any government. I think he was kind of equal that way as far as the site went. It didn't matter if it could be confirmed and it was a war crime, it got published.
Yeah, he wasn't a fan, isn't a fan, probably less so a fan now of government in general. He just wanted to point out what governments did behind these people's backs, and that's what he did. That's what he does.
Yes, I think a much needed good.
Yeah, very much so. All right, you ready for some concentration?
Yeah. Okay, guys. The long, disgraceful history of American attacks on brown and Black women's reproductive system. Alleged medical abuse on immigrant women's reproductive systems are as American as apple pie. Now, this is by Natasha Lennard, and it was September 17th, 9:11 a.m. She could have waited one more minute before she posted it, but I guess she wasn't paying attention to that. I'm just being nitpicking. All right. Forced sterilization of poor women of color is an American tradition. Rightful public fury has followed allegations this week that hysterectomies were performed on numerous women imprisoned at U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, Irwin County Detention Center, which is a for-profit prison, by the way. According to a whistleblower, a nurse at the facility, the women reacted confused. The women reacted confused when they learned what had been done to their bodies. The allegations produced a flood of commentary. Some drew comparisons to Nazi Germany's eugenic sterilization programs. These commentators, however, did not need to reach so far across the globe. Some of the most extreme allegations echo a long and disgraceful history right here in America. The accounts of ongoing brutalities at ICE concentration camps may be a direct consequence of fascistic Trumpian excess. But if the whistleblower claims are proven true, they would be an extension of, not aberrations from, a wholly American practice of sterilizing populations deemed undesirable, not what we want to replace us. Remember that tiki torch thing that happened?
Yeah.
President Donald Trump's administration did not bring white supremacist eugenic practices to U.S. soil. They have always been inherent to a country fixated on borders, on how do I say it? Bigotry. I don't and locking certain people away. It does an injustice to centuries of victims of sterilization to pretend otherwise. Like almost every report on detainee treatment in ICE concentration camps, the whistleblower complaint filed this week makes accusations of routine dehumanization. Dawn Wooten, a licensed practical nurse at the Georgia-based detention center, filed a whistleblower complaint to the Department of Homeland Security's Office of Inspector General that a doctor contracted to treat detained women had performed a seemingly high rate of hysterectomies. Wooten and one of the groups representing her, Project South, raised issues about the women giving what the complaint called a lack of proper informed consent. And this was before the procedure had started. They learned about what had happened afterwards. The Intercept was able to gather independent allegations from detainees and lawyers that were consistent with Project South's complaint. That's why reading through the whistleblower complaint, the independent allegations, I couldn't do a better job than this report right here. She gets all the credit. It is very comprehensive and very short and to the point, gets everything in it, just like news should. In the complaint to the Office of Inspector General, the whistleblower called the doctor the uterus collector, a moniker seemingly ripped from the annals of notorious eugenicists. And such annals are part of a very American legacy. The man dubbed the father of modern gynecology, J. Marion Sims, conducted experiments on enslaved Black women without anesthesia, but was nonetheless lionized in the 19th century with statues around the country. Only now are some of them being taken down, in the mere beginning of a long overdue reckoning here in this country. Eugenics programs directed at decimating the lives of Black, Indigenous, and other people of color, particularly poor and immigrant communities, as well as people with disabilities, were an explicit part of U.S. policy in the 20th century. 32 states maintained federally funded eugenics boards tasked with ordering sterilizations of women and sometimes men deemed undesirable, of course. Tens of thousands of forced sterilizations were carried out nationwide last century. California's so-called asexualization acts, which led to 20,000 men and women losing reproductive capacity, were a direct inspiration to Nazi eugenicists. Quote, "There is today one state," Adolf Hitler wrote, "in which at least weak beginnings toward a better conception of citizenship are noticeable. Of course, it is not our model German Republic, but the United States," end quote. This is a direct quote from one of the victims of this doctrine. "He just empties you all out." Says the whistleblower in the whistleblower's reports a high number of hysterectomies at ICE detention facility, and it goes on with a little tiny bit of history. A 1965 survey found that a staggering 1/3 of Puerto Rican women between the ages of 20 and 49 years old had been sterilized. And not that it's in this report, but that is definitely true. When Puerto Rico was definitely going to be a part of the USA and US citizens and could travel back and forth to US without, anything. It is the same as me going to Ohio to visit Mac or Mac coming to Florida to visit me. It would be no different to go to Puerto Rico. They freaked the fuck out. And they, there was all this scary, you can pull them up now, of Puerto Ricans are going to take over. They're going to take over governments. Entire towns are going to be totally Puerto Rican. And they sterilized them. A result of U.S. population control programs, this Puerto Rican, between 20 and 49 years old. Oh. These control programs enforced on the territory. So it happened there, on their land. I guess our land, because we own it, however that works. That's just awful. I mean, I know how it works, but it's like they took colonization and said, watch what we can do, hold my beer. So common were coerced sterilizations in the American South that they became referred to as, now I have a really hard time with the second word, so laugh if you need to. Stacy laughs at me all the time. Okay, Mississippi appendectomies. Appendectomies. I said it. Woo! Mississippi appendectomies. Got it. It's just really hard. My tongue says no. That's not how that works. Thanks, Smith. Okay, so it became referred to as the Mississippi that word. Appendectomies. The extent to which these practices fit within a genocidal white supremacist ideology cannot be underestimated. Between 1930 to 1970, 65% of the 7,600 plus sterilizations ordered by the state of North Carolina were carried out on Black women. And as Angelin Chaplin noted this week in The Cut, quote, during the same time that Roe v. Wade granted mostly white women more bodily autonomy in the 1970s, approximately 25,000 Native American women were forcibly sterilized by the U.S. government, between 25 and 50% of the female population. By the end of the 1970s, thanks in part to the organizing efforts of women of Mexican origin in California, programs of state-ordered sterilizations had ended and guidelines were put in place to better ensure informed consent around sterilization procedures, although numerous laws enabling state-forced sterilization remain on the books right now. So check in your state. Your state might have these laws on the books. But the absence of explicit eugenics policies did not end eugenicist practices. The denial of reproductive choice to poor people of color through sterilization, forced birth, and mass incarceration, alongside every form of necropolitical governance that leaves communities to suffer and die, is an assertion of which lives get better in the U.S. As recently as 2013, an investigation found that at least 148 females, now this is between recently as 2013, 148 females inmates in 2 California prisons were sterilized between 2006 and 2010. Many of the women said they were coerced into the procedure. The whistleblower and detainees allegations from current U.S. concentration camps sit squarely on this American legacy. The fact that Black and brown immigrant women are held in an extremely vulnerable position at this prison where they have no control over their bodies and no say what is done to them is sickening. And this is said by Aza Day, and I'm not even going to ruin her last name because I cannot say that. She is a legal advocacy director at Project South. Irwin, quote, Irwin should be shut down immediately and people should be freed. The United States government, as well as the private prison corporation running this prison, should be held accountable. And I agree. And she is right, says The Intercept. But holding the United States accountable in any robust sense requires a reckoning with the ways it had been defined by the control of black and brown bodies, domestically, at its borders, and internationally. There need be no explicit policy of forced sterilization for a eugenicist system to exist. Normalized neglect and dehumanization are sufficient. These are Trumpian specialties, yes, but they are as American as apple pie. So
Fucking
that's
wow.
happening. Fucking wow, right?
Wow. They just scoop everything out.
Yes. Yes. It just makes your many of these women are like 25 and 26 years old. And how dare you take that right away from them? Aren't you supposed to be pro-life? Or like they should have as many babies as possible? No, because they're not white Christian Americans. And that's my opinion. That's not in this article or in anything. I just have read so much that this is not going to be happening to people who look like me. It's just not going to be happening. Or Mac. You know, it's like it said in the article. It's disturbing. It's disgusting. I very, very grossed out that is happening in 2020. 2020 has been a hell of a year so far.
Yeah, it has.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is just disgusting.
Carlos, hi.
Oh, Carlos is here?
Yes, Carlos
Awesome.
is here. Yay! So glad that you made it, and you are participating in chat. Carlos has a lot of good things to say, by the way. That's my opinion, and I'm sticking to it. He's a smart cookie. We're gonna keep him if we can.
There we go.
Yeah.
All right, so yeah, that's obviously disgusting, and it makes me a little more upset that it's not super surprising.
No,
right?
it's not.
No, it's not.
It's as American as apple pie.
Yeah. And when I first started to read your message last night when you were telling me about this, I was like, whoa, I think I already knew that.
Right.
Or at least part of it. It's like, shock.
Yeah, not the good kind of awe. No, it makes my stomach turn into knots. And
yeah.
I mean, there are a few things in this life that should never be for profit, ever. Prisons, education, healthcare. I mean, you can try to change my mind on those. But if you have information that I don't have, I want to read it, because everything that I've laid my eyes on and dug into as hard as I could, I still feel the same way. Prisons should never be for profit. If you put profit on each life that's coming in there, you can dehumanize them. You know, I just am disgusted. So much needs to change. And I think that talking about it is going to help bring about that change. There are many people that don't even know that this happened. You know, they're just busy and they're not into politics and they just don't, or they don't want to know. You know, I've heard that too. I don't want to know. Please participate in democracy. I don't care who you vote for. I think that it's just important. I would like to see like 85% participation in democracy just once before I die, to prove that if more people vote, we'll be happier with the results. Although we do need ranked choice voting first. But that's off topic. But I do stand by ranked choice voting. with everything. I think that that would give everyone the option to vote their conscience and have a second choice and a third choice. I think that it's just smart. The states that have already implemented have more democracy than the rest of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
More democracy is always better than less.
Well, speaking of
Yes.
democracy and us, thanks for the segue.
You're welcome.
um, all right, so our next and I believe final story. I hope it's our final story because I forgot if there's
Yeah.
another one
Yeah,
after
it's a
this.
lot.
This should be it. Yeah, so there seems to be like a war on the Green Party right now being waged on the Green Party by the Democratic Party, which is funny because they're called the Democratic Party, right? So you would imagine they would want more democracy. Um, and one good way that you get more democracy is having more choices for the people and have those choices be legitimate choices that are easily voted for. But that's not what we get with the Democratic Party in the United States. So, yeah, what we do have is the DNC suing the Green Party, I believe in
Yes.
Texas. I mean, that's not the only state that they're like fucking around with them. To keep them off the ballot in November because they say that it's going to take longer for them to print out the Green Party candidates on the ballot. And also, um, they made a rule where they have to pay like $5,000 for I forget what it's called. It's some kind of entry
Membership fees.
membership fee. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the Green Party candidates are not doing that, at least until um, the lawsuit is over with.
Right.
But it really is just some bullshit. Again,
Why would they want to pay that when they're not even included in your anything? Like, fuck off. Like, I just, I sound like a chicken. Fuck off.
yeah, just fuck off.
I just don't. Yeah, that it's a membership dues and membership fees, and they're not part of the club. You've made that oh so clear. So if they're not part of the club, why should they be paying you anything? You're taking them, you're subverting democracy. Everything that you piss and moan about the Republicans and democracy, you are doing. Like the hypocrisy is so thick, I need a knife.
it's thick with two K's.
No, those are thighs.
Did you say lies or thighs?
Thighs. I don't like my lies thick, but I do like my thighs thick.
Well, I'm sorry, you get the lies thick.
But
Lies spelled with 2K. Well,
oh goodness.
it's almost licks. And I
Oh,
don't
it's always good to like smile a little bit at the end of these because yeah.
So yeah, this is it's not really worth going into a lot.
No, but people do need to know what is being done in their name if they are members of the DNC.
Yeah, so we have the Wisconsin Examiner. I have an article here. It says in a 4-3 decision, the Wisconsin Supreme Court denied a request to be allowed on the ballot from the Green Party candidates for president and vice president, Hallie Hawkins and Angela Walker. The decision was made days after the court ordered the election clerks across the state halt the mailing of absentee ballots. Clerks are subject to state and federal laws requiring the ballots to be delivered to municipalities. Oh, I said it. by September 16th. Be mailed to people who have previously requested them by September 17th, and be mailed to voters in the military or overseas by September 19th. Yeah, so yeah, this really is really upsetting that the Democratic Party is pushing for this at all. And
Yeah.
not even just that, but if you go on Twitter, and I mean, like with Ruth Bader Ginsburg, the election so close, and the Green Party thing going on, just those three things, like Twitter is currently the like at its dumpster fireiest that it may have ever been. Like there is just so much garbage on fire, dirty diapers that light. Just it's some shit right now.
Yeah, it's pretty gross.
Uh,
I'm putting a link in the chat that is the best coverage. Now, if you're Mac or
with the
Branch or
Humanist
my
Report,
dad, you probably, yeah, already got it from me. It is the Humanist Report. Mike Figueroa does an amazing job at just kind of waiting until the dust settled, waiting 24 hours, and then did a deep dive into what we can prove about what the Democrats or the DNC has done against the Green Party. And he just lays it out from a humanist perspective. And I totally appreciate that. I'm putting that in the chat right now. Please save that, click that, save that for later and watch it. It's not under 5 minutes. It's definitely over 5 minutes. But I think that it just, the clarity I received, many opinions is what we got in the first few hours after that broke. And that's great. Everyone has an opinion and save it to the end. But Mike is really good at saying, this is what I found. And then at the end being like, I just really don't like this. This is why. And then explaining. So he's definitely one of my go-tos. I just appreciate his hard work and his very well-read opinion and very humanist opinion. I actually saw him this week kind of get off the rails. I don't remember what video it was, but he said the F word. Like, Mike, very surprised. So yeah, if Mike is saying the F word on the Humanist Report, you know that it's a crazy week in the news. And we'll bring it to you on Friday.
yeah. I do want to.
Yeah.
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 Mike does really good work. It's really awesome. He has one of my favorite channels. So you guys really should check that out. If Christy just linked that, you should save that link, open it up, keep watching us, go back to it after we're done here in a few minutes. At the end of this article that I was reading, I do want to share, and this is a lot of the consensus that's going on with this issue is Green Party candidates are seen by Democrats as potential spoilers for Democratic candidates Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, as is another independent who has been excluded from the Wisconsin ballot, hip hop artist Kanye West. The legal teams making the challenges for both the Green Party and West have ties to the Wisconsin Republican Party. In 2016, independent candidates for the Green Party and Libertarian Party drew more than 100,000 votes in a state President Trump won by 23,000. So you can see what they're getting at.
Yes.
These are spoilers, and it can spoil the election if a third party candidate gets those votes to where the Democratic Party could have beaten Trump.
That's what they think.
Right. So
right.
this,
I love how Mike breaks that down, that exact part down where he shows you how many third party went to Jill Stein and how many third party went to the Libertarian Party. And it shows that if Trump would have got those third party and the DNC would have got those third party votes, Trump would have won by more. So don't let them fool you. That is not the facts as we know them to be true.
Right. And so that being the case, just blatantly not true, that's not the part that gets me the most, honestly. And it's the fact that in this two-party system that we prop up, it's that either party thinks they're entitled.
Ugh, I know.
It's the entitlement that is absolutely disgusting. Mm-hmm. The reason we have a two-party system is because everyone says we have a two-party system.
Right.
Like,
yes.
It's just because we repeat it to ourselves constantly. Yeah. Well, like, I would vote third party, but it wouldn't do anything. Like, that's what literally everyone says to me. No one's happy with the candidates unless they're like an extremist, like a real Trump supporter, or just like an SJW in a bad way.
So yeah, I know what you're saying. Yes, yeah. And that's, we don't even get close enough to someone who would be, fighting for the regular people. We don't even get close to that. Because everybody believes that story that we have two parties. Actually, look in the early 1900s and the late 1800s, we had way more parties.
And we should.
A Communist Party, a Socialist Party, a Labor Party. These things are things that all other democracies have.
Yeah. A Tea Party.
Yeah, I don't care. If there's people that follow that ideology, there should be people that represent them in our Congress. And ideas should win out. When we talk about the ideas, we will get rid of a few party after a couple decades because ideas would have won out. Yeah. Not money.
What's the phrase? If you can finish it for me, extremism grows in
the dark.
Dark and in places where there's no dissenting voices.
Yes.
Right? So if you take away the public platform for people to discuss horrible ideas, then those horrible ideas grow in a safe place.
Yes.
They just do. And I mean, that's one reason why I am in favor of just like there being blatant racists in Congress, because we have blatant racists for them.
Yeah, I would rather have it be out.
Be open.
Like, yes, let me know where you are. To say that there isn't racism in the country is just, I can't have a conversation with somebody who thinks that, because
it's silly.
Right. There are. So let them say why and be known for their ideas, for their beliefs, for their opinions, and put it all out there so that an honest debate can happen. And I think the only way we're ever going to even have a glimmer of a hope of moving to the ideal post-racism America that everybody said was happening with Obama, I think it will be to put it all out there, to acknowledge all of the wrongs that have been done to every community they have been done to. And, I believe in the apology. I think there are people, especially my family, who would never be okay with that. They follow that whole Bush, I will never apologize for this, this country. I'll never say I'm sorry for America. But if you're wrong, you're wrong. And there is no government without the people. There just isn't. A government's job is to protect the people, to take care of them when they need assistance. That is it. And there shouldn't be a us versus them mentality, government versus people. And that's where I see this going.
Yeah.
Not that it isn't already there.
Yeah. And Lefty Philosophy said, you all would want a parliamentary type system that would allow more representation. He's right. Yeah, it would. And that is what I want. I would do want a more parliamentary type system. I think that would be wonderful.
More democracy, not less. Yes.
Yep, more democracy.
More representation. If we're going to have a representative democracy, we need to be represented.
Yeah, we need more representation, more parties, and we need ranked choice voting.
We definitely need ranked choice voting. Let's just go ahead and move into the 21st century, 30 years after it began.
To me, right now, the three biggest issues in this election for just 2020, the three biggest fucking things you need to pay attention to are one, Julian Assange's case.
Mm-hmm.
Two, the two-party duopoly. And three, Medicare for all.
Yes.
Those are the three biggest issues that we really need to pay attention to. We need to find solutions for or implement solutions.
Yeah, I don't think people understand how what happens with this trial is going to touch so many parts of everything. What we do right here could just totally be shut down. We don't know. And I know that's being hyperbolic, but we don't know.
I don't think it is, because how the government works with giant corporations like YouTube, Google, Facebook, right? I mean, they make publishing illegal.
I was like, they take the knee and kiss the ring. That's how. Yeah, they do.
The knee and kiss the ring.
I mean, think about YouTube just 10 years ago. Totally different.
Absolutely different. There's so much more censoring, right? And I don't like to talk about all the censoring stuff too much, but I do feel like I need to point out, especially in this case, that if Julian Assange is found guilty because of publishing, they can roll that right down, and this is for national security reporting and publishing stories on that without it being okayed by the intelligence agencies. It will work its way down. Like, I don't think that's conspiracy. I think that's just looking at how things work right now. Like, it will be the Washington Post, CNN, Hill. I mean, anyone who reports on it and publishes something. And what do you do when you make a Facebook post?
Right.
You publish it, right? And then you are reporting. You could be committing a felony. Like, it goes down to Christy and I. And then it will go, like, if it makes it to us, it will make it to you, sharing a story that you think needs to be shared. And they can still say, oh, that's a conspiracy theory. You can't post that on Facebook. But also, you just committed a felony.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. It's we need to be on the side of journalism. We need to be on the side of free speech and the First Amendment. I think it is the first for a reason. It was the First Amendment added to the Constitution because they saw there was this spot that wasn't covered that needed to be covered. And I do like that our Constitution grows with us. I do want to say that there is some scary stuff going on. Brant, being silly, said Trump made a national education plan removing slavery and racism from the textbooks. So we have that going on. While this is going on, it is his patriotic education is what he's calling it. I call it fascism 101, and I think that next week I'm definitely coming hard on that. I think it just fits with what we stand for. And no he said Howard Zinn's history book, A People's History of the United States, was disgusting, and it lies to our children and makes our children hate this country. And I know all of that is my favorite history on America. I just love that it's people, it's from the lens of the people of this nation, and that's what we need more of. And it's okay for me to know these things happened and to still love my country, but not in a drinking the Kool-Aid sycophant way, and what the idea of this country stands for. And we never made it to that idea, which means we have a lot of work to do. Go ahead, Mac. Call on my favorite student in the class.
Hello, hi. Yes, I have something to add.
Yes, Mac, go ahead.
So you said that Trump said that this book makes our children hate America, and I want to know what's wrong with that, in a sense, because I want to point out exceptionalism and fascism here. Because if you can't handle people having a dissenting opinion or hating a country that they live in, then you are very staunchly advocating for American exceptionalism, or that really exceptionalism, saying that it does no wrong. You can't hate it for any reason, right? Or that's it's so at least it's so close to it. Like, don't.
He wants to have the next generation that comes up under his presidency or after his presidency to be a generation of children who grew up to love this country. I do love this country, and I understand that I want it to do better. I love the people of this country, I should say. I want better things to be done for the least among us from the bottom up.
Right, but if you have this dissenting voice and you have a different definition of what was best for this country, then you can be alienated. You can be said to just be.
They can be like Debs, and they just lock me up.
Right, and what is that? What is that system?
Fascism.
Fascism.
It's a little bit fashy.
And what was Adolf Hitler?
Oh, he was an authoritarian.
They were communists, right? They were communists? No, they were fascists.
They were fascists. Authoritarian fascists, which there is no other way, I think. No. I think it all comes from one person down in order to be fascist. I do hope that Americans learn the difference between authoritarian and communism, because there's massive. There are continents between those two. Yeah. I don't think they're even on the same planet, honestly.
No. So, yeah, that's something I wanted to point out while you were talking. I was thinking that I'm like, what's wrong with that? People can have a poor opinion of where they live. Like, fuck, I didn't like the town that I grew up in when I was a teenager. I'm like, this town sucks. And everyone was like, yeah, it does suck. Does that mean you want to, like, I don't know.
You can flee it, or you can try to be a part of the change you want to see. Yeah. You know? Stacey said, flee it or be it. That doesn't mean drink the Kool-Aid and just believe what everyone around you says. We have a chatter, Lefty, who also said he just wants to eat tacos, or they. I don't know if Lefty philosophy is male, female, or anything beautiful in the middle. So I just want to eat tacos and not live near evangelicals. I feel you. I cannot live by people who in my community would not let me speak my opinion, even if it isn't the same as theirs. And to live in a community surrounded by evangelicals, people that are telling you, you know, this book is all there is and you have to follow it, is the opposite of freedom. And I'm glad that I live in a country that has religious freedom, even if it doesn't feel like it is. That is the law of the land for right now. With Ruth leaving and the Supreme Court being open to a new person, everything's kind of up right now. Not that anything's been settled here in a while. I do feel overwhelmed. I think most people do that pay attention. If you're not disgusted and outraged, you're not paying attention. And the world's on fire at the same time. So we have each other, and I'm glad we have this to come to every week and kind of talk about the week that has happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we have each other, and there's solidarity in that. And there might be 13 people in the chat right now, but all 13 are willing to talk to each other. And we might even have differences in opinions and beliefs. And I think that that's fine. That's actually wonderful. I might learn something from you, and you might learn something from me. And if nothing else, we learn empathy and a different perspective to acknowledge when you're going into making decisions. I think those things are important. And to never, ever tell somebody, if you don't think like me, you can't be a part of something. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. I think that what's missing is the solidarity, is many people coming together from different beliefs and ideologies and saying, we want the best for all of us. How do we get there? I think that's so important. And don't let anything or anybody or any government try to break us up any more than we already are. If I've got your back and you've got my back and we're in this together, I don't care who you pray to, or if you don't, you're both are welcome. I don't care if you're a Buddhist or a Hindu or a Christian or an atheist or agnostic. I don't care. I want you to make decisions with the information that is available. That's what I care about. And having those philosophical conversations with a friend, they're wonderful.
Yeah.
They are. I love debate. I love it. I think I thrive on it.
This,
But if somebody let me know they weren't about that debate, I would never try to debate them.
yeah.
I just wouldn't. I think that that's important too. Go ahead.
Right. I mean, I was gonna say, because I was talking about this after the show last week, that I'm very fortunate to, one, have this platform, but also have a friend that I can just talk to each week. Yeah. This is therapeutic, right?
I think so.
Like,
Definitely.
to
Yeah.
talk about this and oh, cool, the other one doesn't think we're crazy. That's
Well,
really
I know I'm probably pretty crazy. So. And
reasonable crazy.
Crazy recognizes crazy, Max. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah,
Crazy is as crazy does.
It's fine. It's right out. But yeah, no, this is good for us. And each week I see this as like I have 2.5 jobs. This is my half job. So but I do take it very seriously for the small amount of time that I can put into the show each week. But at the end of each show, I don't just feel drained. It's like a release from all the intake that I had all week. So this is really nice, and I really appreciate conversation I get to have with Christy, and I really appreciate everyone who comes in to watch. It's always 5 to 25 people,
Yes.
but I'm always very thankful for everyone who comes.
Same.
Your Friday.
Yeah, I love. Riley just got here. Hi, Riley. Haven't seen you in a while. Much love. Long, awkward hugs for you. I always want to give her those long, really awkward, where one person lets go and then the other one doesn't, and then they let go and the other one doesn't. One of those. That's what's coming to you, Riley. Look forward to it. But I love. Riley said, what's cool? Love. I agree. We are ready as a human population for some radical love and empathy, some forgiveness and some acknowledging what has happened and talking about it and getting it all out there so that communities can heal. If you're trying to take it out of the textbooks, you're doing the opposite of helping us to heal. So, yeah. I'm probably considered radical by much of my family, and I'm okay with that. Come to terms with it. Okay, you can't choose what you believe. As a logical person, you can only take in information and change your opinion accordingly. And that's what's happened. Whenever I find more stuff out where I'm like, whoa, I didn't know that, I just look into it more. And I don't just try to confirm what I just learned. I do read into all of that, but I also want to immediately before that look into any objections to that, any debunking of that, any dissenting opinions of that, because I need to have all of the information. And I've just become more humanist by the information taken in. I can't choose that.
I want to like kind of quote the Mandalorian right now.
Yes.
And like speaking of humanists, this is the way.
It is.
This is
It is. Because nobody's excluded.
right.
Everybody matters.
I think we're going to change it to that is the way. It's totally not copyright.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's very inclusive, very egalitarian, and very empathetic.
I think that that's why Mac and I even started having the conversation that became this channel was we both took in a lot of content, politics,
Religion.
history, religion, science. We just loved it. But as we looked into the community on YouTube where there was content to take in, there's this huge gaping hole between it was us versus them, and you're not, you're stupid if you think this, and oh, that's so toxic. And we both were like, yeah, what the world needs now is love, sweet love, but not just love. We need to talk about things logically, but from love, from that you might think differently. You might have information that I don't have. I need to have it. Give it up. Like, we need to create that spot each Friday where people can come. And if you're in the chat right now and you ever feel like you would love to have a conversation with either of us, both of us, let us know. You could be on the next LEAH.
Ooh. All right. Well, before we let you go, I want to point out real quick. I want to give a special thank you to our patrons.
Yes.
Brantley, Robert X, Chet, and Stacy. We have
Stacy became
yes, Stacy is our newest
brand new one.
patron. So
Yay.
we appreciate you. Thank you so much for supporting the show. Everyone else, thank you for supporting us on just coming here, giving us a like, giving us some watch time, sharing the video.
Participating in the chat and conversation. Oh, means so much.
Keeping it lively down below here. Yeah, if anyone wants to become a patron, we would super duper appreciate it. The link is down in the doodly doo below. And yeah.
I love you, Mac, and I love you, Nacha, and all the chatters. I'm just so glad that all of you came tonight. Riley, miss you. And you're going to get that long, awkward hug. Even if you don't think it's going to be awkward, it's going to be really awkward, I promise. You're going to like it. Oh, goodness.
You don't get a choice.
I always feel better on Fridays. I love you guys. And I wanted to say, as we do here, stay humanist for God's sake.